movieweb.com.
This film is a pretty hardcore action film. I mean, you guys are fighting and killing people, and it's much more active than the first movie. So coming in as Prince Caspian, the lead role, how did you train for this? What did they get you in shape to do all the sword fights and all that stuff?
Well, I think the big one, first off, was the horse riding, because we shot the movie almost chronologically. So the very first thing that happens, obviously, is this huge horse chasing sequence through rivers, through forests, up and down ramps, and so I had to get to grips with that pretty quickly. So I was doing 6-7 hours a day on a horse when I first got there, which is pretty exhausting, but absolutely worth it, I think, in the final product. And then, of course, the night raid sequence and the battle is more towards the end, so we had a little bit more time with the sword training and with the stunt training and all that choreography. But it's just as fun to do it as it is to watch it. It's a boy's dream come true. It's amazing. It's not a real job.
Peter in this film is basically a major action star, a mythic hero. I mean, he had some good fight scenes in the first film, but in this film, you really own it with all the dueling and stuff. Talk about training for that and just getting into that whole being more aggressive and making Peter more of a hero.
You know, I always loved the physical aspect of the film. I thought that was a great potential for me to sort of have a good time and to get a workout and to also, commit to a part of the character that I wasn't familiar with from the first film, or I really only touched on in the first film. So I worked with a boxing trainer in Brooklyn for 3.5 months. And then I also was working very closely with a stunt coordinator throughout the film, and we choreographed a 110-beat fight for the Peter Miraz battle duel, and I really thoroughly enjoyed working on that duel. It was one of the greatest moments I think I'll ever have as an actor, because I was just throwing myself around, jumping and diving, blocking, and he was he played Miraz as Miraz's double, and I really enjoyed that.
Drop him!
Rose, Brooklyn. Drop him!
So in the sequel, you guys are like big action stars. I mean, you're fighting, you're killing people, you're doing a lot more interaction, than you were in the first film. What was it like to train for that, and especially with the bow and arrow stuff?
It was great. Queen Susan is Queen Susan the Gentle, but we thought, well, that doesn't mean she can't be strong. And we talked to Doug Gresham, C.S. Lewis's stepson, about making some changes and putting Susan in the battle, which is great. I mean, I got to do some more archery, but it's a lot more complicated this time around. I'm more creative with my bow and throwing arrows and things like that. I also got to learn to horse ride, which I loved. I couldn't believe that galloping across fields in Queenstown, New Zealand was actually going to work for the day. It was really fun.
I saw the film last night, and it is a tremendous action film. That's really surprised me, and especially William Moseley's character, Peter, is like a mythic hero, a really big action star in this film. You talk about coaching the kids up, Susan and Peter, to actually do that and become these big action heroes.
I mean, I give most of it to them. I mean, they did a really great job. Obviously, our stunt coordinator worked really closely with everyone. Even Ben, who came into the game fairly late, started training relatively early on. William was boxing, he was horse riding, he was sword fighting. Anna was doing archery and fighting. Susan gets to kind of really kick butt in this film. But Will, I would say, one of the most impressive stunts in the film was a stunt that he did himself, which was the vault onto the horse. He runs along, he grabs a moving horse, he uses it to leap up and kick a Telmarine in the chest, and then uses that momentum to flip himself onto the back of the horse. And Will, I think we did 6 takes of that, and Will pulled it off in 3 of those takes. It's a pretty remarkable feat. But he's a very physical, athletic kind of guy.
You're coming into this film, all the people in the movie before had been like a family. What was it like to kind of get into that group and to say, hey, I'm Prince Caspian, I'll be part of the series now? Were they welcoming? Did they haze you or anything like that?
You know what, there was a little bit of ribbing all the way through, I have to admit, particularly from Georgie and William. They would mock me a lot, but it was funny, my very first day on set, the assistant director said, this is Brian Barnes, we'll be playing Prince Caspian, and please don't come within 6 feet of him, we'll look him directly in the eye. And so there was a few people who were kind of wary of me for a few days after that, so that's how I got past it.
And you also have kind of a romance thing going on with Ben Barnes, Prince Caspian.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a lot of girls who are jealous of you for that.
I'm expecting a pile of hate mail as soon as I get back to my hotel room, actually.
So what were those, what was the penultimate kiss scene like? What was filming that day like?
Well, we filmed it pretty close to the end of the shoot, so I already knew Ben really well. And it was kind of weird to be so close to someone and have to kiss them. And actually it was my first screen kiss, so I was pretty nervous. I'm not really into public displays of affection, and it was pretty public. We had, first of all, an audience of 300 extras, but then an extended audience of goodness knows how many. But it was fine, by the time you'd done these things 20 times over, they'd sort of lose any sense of awkwardness and just become a performance.
When we saw you at Comic-Con, you had throngs and throngs of teenage girls just going crazy. And one fan begged for a hug, and you were good enough to jump off the stage and give her a hug, and it was very nice. Do you enjoy interacting with the fans, or does it get annoying after a while?
No, I think it's kind of a rewarding part of the job, because it means that people have enjoyed your performance and liked what you did. And if they were shouting at me and telling me I did what a terrible job in the film at Comic-Con, I would be kind of upset and, reconsider being an actor. But since people liked it and, somebody wants a hug, why not give them a hug, Hugs, not drugs. That's my motto.
Now, obviously, the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, I guess you guys are going to start shooting at the end of the year. My question to you as a director and the driving kind of creative force behind these movies is, it takes years to get these done. It's a lot of, working with people and young actors. How committed are you to seeing it through? Do you see yourself making all these films, or are you going to take a break after the next one?
I'm taking a break after this one. I am actually. I'm not directing the next one. Michael
Really?
Apted is going to direct the next one. Yes, he's already started his location scouting at this point. We have a script that we're pretty happy with, still doing some work on. I will produce it. I'll stay involved as I need to be, but no, I want a little time off now.
All right, well, I don't want to skip too far past this film, but The Voyage of the Dawn Treader is the next film. What can you tell us about that? Anything interesting, different that we're going to see?
I haven't read a script yet, but it's a different genre of movie. Again, the first one is this kind of Christmas fairy tale, then we have this sort of action blockbuster, and the third one is this kind of roving adventure story. We meet all these different kinds of characters, and I'm just, I'm keen to see how different it is again, and with a new director, but also I'm keen to see what happens to Caspian. At the end of this movie, he says, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to be a king, so I want to see how that sits with him, whether he is ready or not.
All that you know is about to change.